In this episode, we are talking about something that I struggle with so badly. It's two things, but they're totally connected, which is feeling guilty when I'm not producing and achieving all the time, and procrastination. And I have a feeling I'm not alone in feeling these ways. So I am going to share some of the things that have helped me not feel those pressures and not feel so guilty from those pressures, as well as with procrastination. But I have some work to do. And so I am excited to share, what I've done so far and what I plan on doing in the future. So let's dive into this episode. Hello, I'm Crystal Vilkaitis. I'm a curious, wine-loving entrepreneur who loves to learn and have open and honest conversations. Join me and my amazing guests as we talk about all sorts of relatable business and life stuff. It's my goal that you'll have fun, learn something new, and get inspired. Wine is not required, but is recommended. This is Crystal Uncorked. Okay, so this episode is about pressures and procrastination, and it's so funny because, to be totally honest, I am tired today, but I have to film today because I procrastinated filming this episode. I could have filmed it 2 weeks ago. I've had this script for 2 weeks, but I let all sorts of other stuff get in the way, and some of that stuff did not need to happen, like spending time on TikTok and on Instagram. So I pushed it to the last minute. Here I am, but I have a deadline. I have a post-production crew that needs this material 7 days before we go live. And so I got to get it done. I procrastinated. I'm tired today. I had a long weekend, an awesome weekend up north in Northern California with some friends. And my friend drinks a lot of wine. In fact, I showed his wine collection in an Instagram reel at Crystal Uncorked. If you want to check it out, he has so much wine and great wine. Like, he has excellent taste in wine. Really turned me on to some Pinot Noirs. Typically, I'm a bolder wine person, but loved trying these Pinots. So anyways, I don't have coffee today. I'm sorry, I have coffee today. I don't have wine today. And we're going to talk about the pressures we put on ourselves in this episode. And that's where I thought this was so funny, because I was feeling so much pressure that this needs to be perfect. This is Crystal Uncorked. I need to drink wine on every episode. Oh my God, this is only my 9th episode and I'm already messing up the rules and having coffee and just totally like building all this up. And I'm like, well, maybe I just show a bottle of wine. Oh, just pretend like you're drinking wine. I had all these thoughts. And then I said, okay, hold the phone. This episode is about pressures and procrastination. If I wouldn't have freaking procrastinated, I wouldn't have this issue, but I did. So let's take away the pressures. I don't think anybody's going to stop listening to this show if I'm drinking coffee, right? Look, it's coffee with Crystal today, okay? And most of the shows, I will have wine. But I had to just say, this is my show. I do get to write the rules, so that's exciting. And I promise you that there will be wine and wine tips and all sorts of wine stuff in future episodes. But today I just had to do what I had to do and listen to my body. And I need coffee today for this episode. So cheers. And we're going to start there with the pressures, okay? So I am somebody who always needs to achieve. Like, it is in my makeup. And I realized this when I took a test called the Strengths Finder. This is the corresponding book that goes along with it. It's Now Discover Your Strengths is the book, and we'll link to this. And in that Strengths Finder test, it's kind of like a personality test, and it determines the things that you are strong in. And it gives you 5 main, and then it gives you additional ones, but you've got like your 5 main strengths that make up who you are. And so my number 1 is competitive, which I definitely am a competitive person. And then my second one is achiever, that I have to be achieving. And what's cool is this book translates those results so you better understand yourself and you better understand the jobs that you should have. Because the purpose of this book says that employers will hire people and they'll say, okay, you're going to do this, but you can learn it. You can figure it out. And if we are just not naturally built a certain way, the book basically says it's going to be a really challenging job for you. It's going to be really hard, and you will probably quit the job because you are not using what you're good at. You're doing stuff that you're okay at, and that's not rewarding. It doesn't feel good when we're like kind of constantly fucking up, right? Like we're not doing the best that we could be doing. Where if we were in a job or career where we were just really doing the things that light us up, that we are excellent at, we are going to feel really good about ourselves and the work that we do. So when I first heard about this, I was really fascinated about it and by it. So I took the test. I also have my employees take the test so I can just kind of learn more about them and understand where they may be best in their positions of certain tasks that they have to do, and then maybe where they're not and somebody else has to do that. So the downside with me having competition was that you always want to win, and that's just not possible in life. And so you'll always feel a little sad. It didn't word it that exact same way, but I was like, oh, great. That's really wonderful. And with achieving, it says in order to feel like you succeed, you have to achieve something every single day, that you have to take something off that to-do list every single day. And it's so true. When I have jam-packed days and I get a shit ton done, I'm on top of the world. I'm the most amazing person, and I want to go on social media and I tell everybody about my big busy day because I'm just like feeling good, and I feel good about myself, right? And that's typically when we share on social media when things are going well, not bad. So, I always need to achieve, but here's the deal. And I would love to hear from you if you feel this way too. I physically or mentally or emotionally don't always have it in me to achieve every single day. And my achievement might be that I got out of bed and had a coffee and did some journaling and made myself lunch. And that might be it. Like that might be the best that I can do today, right? So what happens to me is I will not feel up for it. I'm tired. It's that time of the month. I have been working really hard. I haven't had a day off. I've traveled, whatever it is. And I'm just really, really tired or emotionally drained, mentally drained, all the things. And so I decide, okay, I'm going to take a nap, or I'm going to take today off. And let's say it's like in the middle of the week. And then I will go outside and lay in my hammock, or I love just sitting in the sun, watching the birds, hanging out with my dogs. It's like therapy for me. Or I'll take a nap. And as I'm in those moments, I will feel so much guilt that I am not working on my to-do list. I have so much guilt that I am not achieving. And there are some big things I would like to do in my life. Like I really feel like I am made for more. And that's a big part of taking the plunge to do this show. Like I really there's something in me that feels like I need to be doing more. I really want to write books. I've got several book ideas in my head. And if I go and take a nap or watch the birds and I'm not writing that book, let's say, or I'm not, managing my business and creating all these slides that I have to do for upcoming speaking events, or getting ahead of my to-do list so I have more time in my schedule for things that may come up, all the things that we have to deal with, right? And mine are pretty heavy in business because I don't have kids. So for anybody who has kids listening to this, then you have everything that's going on there in your to-do list. And if I just decide to take a break, I then feel guilty. And as I was prepping for this episode, I was just like, okay, why? Like, ease up, girl. Why do we put so much pressure on ourselves? Like to constantly be achieving. Sometimes we just need a fucking break. And every single time that I take a break, this is what happens. If I can get in the state where I've closed down shop, I've taken a real break, and I have found a way to not feel guilty about it, I come back the next day feeling ready. Like, let's go. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? I know I got to knock stuff out, right? And so I just feel refreshed, and I get a lot more done in that one day after rest than I would in the 2 days of no rest, right? It works that way. Yet we constantly push ourselves to do more, to do more, to do more, to do more. And then we push ourselves to either a breakdown point, a breaking point, a burnout point. We get sick, or we're just not very productive in what we're doing, personal lives, work lives. And we might not be a very pleasant person to be around either, because we're stressed, we're tired, we are pushing ourselves to the max, and we just need a break. And so something that I've been really working on over the past year is just listening to that and honoring that and knowing that, okay, if I am feeling mentally drained and just like so tired, the best thing I could do for myself right now is go watch the birds, right? Like, I'm an old person. I just love watching the birds. I guess a lot of people, you don't have to be old to watch the birds. I just have this picture of that's what you do when you retire. That's probably what I'm going to do, right? So I need to just allow myself to do that and not feel guilty and trust, keyword, trust that I will get the job done. I always do. You know, if I have slides that I have to do for a speaking gig that's a month away and I have it on my to-do list to do those slides today, but I'm not feeling creative, I really need a break, I'm going to move it to tomorrow or Thursday, let's say, whatever, and get it done. That can be okay. I'm always going to get it done. I've never showed up to a speaking gig and my slides weren't done because I was just really tired and took a bunch of naps and watched the birds, right? So I need to trust, I need to listen to my body, I need to allow for the rest and space, and I need to trust that I will get it done. And that is something that I felt the need to share on this show. If there is anybody that is struggling with that, I want to address a couple things there though. One is that I understand that other people's agendas and lives and things come up. This is the real life, right? Like the real world. So we need to be okay with some of that disruption in our schedules. We need to do the best we can for our normal everyday schedule, to listen to our bodies and do what we need to do and structure our day in a productive way, which we're going to talk about in this show, and take the break when we need the break. There, of course, could be somebody who needs to meet with you. A deadline comes up out of nowhere. Something happened. A tragedy happened, and you have to completely change everything. Those are special case scenarios. What I'm really talking about is like your day-to-day, typical day, typical life, allowing yourself to have that break without feeling guilty, and allowing yourself not to put so much pressure to constantly produce. I don't know about you, but for me, I really like being on TikTok, which is a little bit of the procrastination problem, and we're going to talk about procrastination next here in this episode. And what will happen to me is I'm like so tired. It's kind of like, I love it because it's entertaining and educational, and it's quick form, short form content, so I can get through a lot. So I will watch these people who are creating content on TikTok, and I will compare myself because I'm like, there is no way I will be as successful as I want to be if I'm laying here taking a nap. There is no way that I am going to grow this show and, you know, I feel like I'm made for more. There's just no way if I'm watching the birds. And it's such a backwards way of thinking. And I say that because, I'm missing the point here, I say this because on TikTok, I see people who are successful and they're producing. They're sharing 5, 8, 10 TikToks every single day. And I'm like, damn, I shouldn't be taking a nap. I should be making TikToks. The shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing. Like, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be doing this. I should be doing that, instead of resting. But it just goes back to the fact that I will not be as creative or as on my game or as effective if I am tired. So I hope that helps somebody out there who maybe needs to listen to your body, take a break, take a rest when you need it. It will only help you be better tomorrow. And one tool that has helped me do that is Kate Northrup's Origin membership. So, and I'll link to this. I don't think it's open right now, and it's not an affiliate. I could become an affiliate. It's not an affiliate though. One thing that Kate teaches, she teaches a lot of things, but the one thing that I found really fascinating that I'm trying to implement more into my life is tracking your cycle and the moon and your energy. Because there are just certain times of the month, especially for us ladies out there, where we are not going to have much energy. And we have to have energy to get through our days. And especially if you are creating something, you're building something, you really need to have energy to show up there in your life. Well, if we know those days where that time of the month, and depending on the moon as well, which has an impact on our energy, if we know that there's going to be those low energy days for us, if we can get ahead of it and kind of schedule that so we have more of an open schedule, so we have flexibility, time to be slow, time to take naps and watch those birds and not feel guilty about it because we've structured our schedule to allow us to do that, right? Like we have just taken care of ourselves and really set ourselves up for success. So I have found that really interesting. I'm just in that beginning process of really paying attention to my cycle, the moon, my energy, and trying to adapt that to my to-do list. The other thing that I have found help me is to make my environment set me up for success. And so a big part of that is having that to-do list. Everything is written out. I use the app called Asana, asana.com. We'll link to it as well. And that has my to-do list, and it also has like our company calendar, and it's like a project management tool, but it sets me up for success because it organizes my life, right? If everything is up in my head, it's going to be really hard for me to organize what's most important. What do I need to prioritize? What do I need to do on those days where I'm going to have high energy? What can I move on the days that I have low energy? And just an easy way of tracking all of that. I also think our physical environment needs to be set up for success, and a really great book about this is called Willpower Doesn't Exist. We'll also link to it, but the whole purpose of this book is that willpower doesn't exist. It's actually about the environment that you put yourself in. And it also talks about resting. So a couple of resources for you there if you struggle with those pressures. And then also I would really recommend taking that StrengthsFinder quiz to see what your top 5 strengths are. And in this book, it will tell you how to manage yourself and how to manage people. So if you are a manager or a leader or a business owner and you want to have your employees take that test, and then you can learn more about them. It covers you and employees in that book. A really great resource. And I'm hoping to have somebody come on the show who is certified in StrengthsFinder to share more about this with my listeners. So stay tuned. The other thing I would recommend doing is looking at your schedule, and is there a way that you can rethink or restructure to even find 15 minutes in your day? I think that we become unconscious with how we spend our time. And in today's social media world, that becomes really easy. It's really easy for us to, I'm just going to go check real quick what's happening on Facebook or Instagram, and 20 minutes goes by. You're like, wait, why did I open on my phone? But a notification popped in, so you clicked on it, and then, oh my gosh, so-and-so's getting married. And so then you're scrolling through the pictures, and you're congratulating, and then you're seeing who else is commenting, and then now you click on your newsfeed, and you're scrolling through to see what's going on, and you're like, oh my God, I opened my phone to like check my bank account, and now I've been on Facebook for 20 minutes. So I think that we unconsciously are not that efficient with our time, and realizing that there is probably time in our day that we could get back to create some of that break and that self-love versus hustling all the time. And then there's also an opportunity for us to really restructure to be more efficient. And so I want to encourage that as well, because that has definitely helped me free up some time in my schedule. But what then happens to me is when I do have projects, I can sometimes procrastinate. And that's the second habit here. I kind of feel like that feeling guilty with those pressures that I put on myself is almost a habit, and procrastination being a habit. And what's so funny, I believe in divine timing, because like I said, I could have filmed this episode a couple of weeks ago, but I procrastinated. And last night, I have to film the show today because I have to get it to my post-production crew. Last night, I was on Instagram, totally procrastinating, and I saw a video from Mel Robbins, who I highly recommend you go check her out and follow her on Instagram. She's got great videos and books, and her video, the top of it said, why you should stop feeling guilty about procrastination. And I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. So I listened to it. It's like a 2-minute video on her Instagram if you want to go check it out as well. But she says that procrastination is a form of stress relief. And she walks through in this video, which I'm going to do on this episode, how to break that habit. She says that procrastination is a habit. This is something for me that can be hard for me to identify sometimes. Is this I need a break and I'm exhausted, or is this me procrastinating? Because at least for me, my procrastination can feel heavy and exhausting and stressful. And that then makes me feel like, oh, well then I'm exhausted, or I'm tired, or I need a break. I should go lay down. I should go care for myself. Instead of pushing through, I'm not actually tired. I just am procrastinating, and I need to break this pattern of procrastination. So these kind of two topics go kind of perfectly for this one episode to just help me be more efficient in my life, because that's what I really, really want. Is I want to do more and produce more while also taking care of myself. And so if we look at procrastination, again, this is just pulled from the Mel Robbins video, but I'm going to repeat what she says. So this is all her training here. But she says that it's like we're walking around with a giant ball of stress on top of our head. We have a million things to do, and we are always thinking about it, right? Whether it's our jobs, it's our bosses, it's our to-do list, it's the 5,000 emails that we have to read, it's a fight with the spouse, it's the children, it's COVID, it's all these things that are going on in our head that are heavy. Got to take the car in, got to make a doctor's appointment, got to do so many, clean the house, feed the dogs. The dogs are almost out of food, all this stuff, right? It's just this giant stress ball. And so when we go into our office and we sit down, or we go into our jobs to go do our job, and now you open up your computer, let's say, and you have to answer these 5,000 emails you have this giant stress ball that is like, I don't want to open and deal with these 5,000 emails. I've got 5 million things going on in my head with this stress ball that I don't want to do that. So you want instant relief. And so you avoid the to-do list because your head is thinking, can we just watch TikTok for a minute? Like Mel says, can we watch some cat videos for an hour? Check out, get happy. And then you do that and you create that relief because you didn't do the to-do list. But then an hour goes by and then you're like, fuck, I still have this shit to do. I just wasted my time. And then that's where that guilt can come into play too, right? And those pressures. So what she says is that you can break the habit of procrastination, which I found a lot of relief in. And this is something I have not mastered, just learned about this last night, guys. So we could do this together. But how you do this is you just have to realize that there are 3 parts to this. So you have to, so the science to break a habit is 1, there's a trigger. You have to know that there's a trigger. And when it comes to procrastination, the trigger is stress. Then 2, there's a pattern. That pattern, when it comes to procrastination, is to avoid the stress, right? Do something else. So we're going to then, 3, find a reward. We're going to do something else. We're going to avoid it to get that stress relief. And so it's a trigger, pattern, reward. Trigger is stress. Our pattern is do something else, and our reward is stress relief, instant relief, right? So instead, what we need to do, and if you're watching my video, I keep looking down at my notes because I just want to make sure I get this right. What we need to do instead, so we break the habit, is to deal with the triggers and to change the patterns. So 1, you recognize that there's stress because you are feeling like I need to go watch those cat videos. I need to go to my outlet of TikTok and really just check out for a bit. Okay, nope, I have stress. So we've recognized that there is stress. Mel Robbins is famous for her counting backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's the next step. You count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Interrupt the pattern. Instead of opening up your phone to go on TikTok or watch cat videos, you are counting backwards to interrupt the pattern. And then 3, work for 5 minutes. Okay, I have stress. I'm going to count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to work on something for 5 minutes. There was a study that showed 80% of people that got started kept going once they just got started. And something that I say all the time is the hardest part is just to get started. It truly is the hardest part. I could be procrastinating, creating my slides, and it feels so heavy, and I move it and I move it and I move it. And one thing that just drives me nuts is the energy that I spend thinking about creating these slides. All of that time and energy, I could have taken it and just done my fucking slides and been done with it and free to do whatever else I want, right? Like some hours to work on the book or do, hang out with friends or go for a walk or whatever, or watch the birds. Like, it's just so crazy. All that energy, all that time, just use it. So you just got to get started. And then what ends up happening for me often is I'm doing these slides and I'm like getting excited about the content I'm creating. And then you keep going. I'm like, ooh, it would be really cool if I could find this. And then you start pushing yourself more. You create something great. And then boom, you're done. And you're so excited, right? And the endorphins for me that I got it done. I achieved. I'm on top of the world. I'm amazing. And then ideally, I can roll that into doing something else. I still feel good. I feel amazing. What else can I do? And just keep knocking stuff out. But once you kind of start feeling tired or that creativity is sinking, you need to recharge and do something else. So that is the hardest part is getting started. We've got to interrupt the pattern, right? And break the habit of procrastination. I'm also in a training called UHPW, Unleash Her Power Within. It's like the female version of Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. It is a spinoff Tony Robbins training with Carissa, who goes by KK. Mostly women, but there's men in there as well. And in just a recent training, she was talking about how we do not live up to our full potential. And that I've been really thoughtful about over the past 10 days. I've been like, man, am I living up to my full potential? Am I doing what I could be doing with my time? And sometimes I want to say like, am I pushing myself? And I think that there's a good pushing us, but then again, I still think that we need to have that rest. There needs to be balance. And I know for sure I am not living up to my full potential. And a big part of that is the procrastination. And a big part of that is clarity and direction on where I want to go and how to get there. And that's another topic, probably several topics. So for me, what I really want to work on is breaking the habit of procrastination and becoming really efficient with my time. Like I want to become a machine almost when it comes to my time. It makes me think of my dad. My dad has worked for the same company. They've been bought out and, his job has switched a little bit, but he's done basically the same thing since he was 18 years old. His first job out of high school, he graduated high school, he went and worked for Kodak, which now where he works now is something else, but basically the same thing. And he is 61 years old. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, I was talking to my dad and he just met with his financial planner and retirement. He can retire in 4 years. He has been talking about retiring my whole life. And I said to him, oh my gosh, are you so excited? Like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. 4 years is going to go by so fast. And he's like, yeah, but I've just been thinking like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've wanted to retire. It's all you've been talking about. I've been working hard trying to make money to retire my parents. And now he's like, well, what is he going to do? And I question that too. I don't want him just sitting at home on the couch, like being unhealthy, not using his mind, not moving his body. So I said, well, could you do something part-time? And he's like, well, I'm not really good at anything. This is what I've done since I was 18 years old. And I don't want to do that job. He's like, the only thing I'm really good at is organizing. And I started thinking about that a lot. Like my dad is so good at creating systems. He wants life to be as efficient as possible. He hates wasting time. He hates wasting money. So you could imagine what it's like sitting in traffic with him. It is not fun at all. But he likes organizing, efficiency. And I've been thinking about that. Like, how can I create systems in my schedule. Like, what would my dad do? I should actually ask him this with my days. How would he structure it to get the most out of my day so I can live more into my full potential, so I can create more, so I can show up more, while also taking care of my body and resting. There has to be balance. So the last thing I want to leave us with here is the pressure to be perfect, because I can maybe stop procrastinating, but I still have to be creating. And there's this the pressure to produce and achieve. But then we're measuring ourselves to other people, or, oh, it wasn't as good as I wanted to. And for those who are perfectionists, it's really hard to achieve or feel actually like you achieved or fulfilled. And I live and die by done is better than perfect. And thankfully, I've gotten pretty good at that. I'm not afraid to just get stuff out there, even though it is so not where I want it to be. I'll be honest, this episode itself, I didn't go in my exact order of flow here. I got a little off. I'm going with it. Done is better than perfect. It would be nuts for me to re-record this whole thing, and then it's not the same authentic, and then I'm stressing out, and then maybe that one sucks even worse. Like, no, I'm going on with the show. Ideally, you don't really notice that I didn't go in total order here. Done is better than perfect. So that is only going to help us speed up, right? And produce. So I look at a lot of social media content for any of those out there who are like business owners or marketers. We often feel like we have to have the perfect social media pages and perfect social media content and write the perfect email copy. But rarely does the perfect post, perfect polished professional post, go viral. It is the humanized, real, raw, when people mess up. It's just like authentically them, human, talking, honesty, open. That stuff goes viral. That's what connects to people. That's what's relatable. People want to feel related to and see themselves in the content. And when it's super professional and polished, and we don't see ourselves in that content. Now that can sell because we're trying to buy a lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that it relates to me to where I feel like I'm understood and I trust you. Because when it's the relatability, we build that trust. And so I just want to plant that seed too, because there are pressures to be perfect and we just can't. And especially social media makes a lot of pressure of that. You see people's content or their lives and you're like, oh, I wish I could do that. I should be doing that. Oh, all the stuff, right? I call it head trash. Ideally, we don't spend too much time looking at that. Instead, we're really efficient with our time. We don't procrastinate. We don't put pressure on ourselves when we feel like we're needing a break, and we absolutely do not put pressure to be perfect because it'll never happen. So I hope you found something out of this episode, and truly, when I know that I'm not alone in feeling a certain way, it makes me feel better about myself. But it's true in the sense that we don't want to be alone. We battle and struggle with things, and I know a lot of us go through this. I know I'm not the only one who struggles with procrastination, and I know I'm not the only one who struggles with putting pressures on herself for the life that she wants and what she should be doing. I am open to talking about it, and I would love for you to be open and share with me too. However you feel like doing that. If it's a comment, if you're tagging me, sharing this episode on social media and tagging me and saying, I can relate, I agree, or you're DMing me or you're emailing me, commenting, whatever you're doing, please share. I would love to hear from you. I want this to be more of a conversation. And the last thing that I will say, I have been getting more reviews of people just how they are listening to episodes of Crystal Uncorked and implementing it. It's inspiring them to take action. I mean, my friend April this weekend shared with me that one of the episodes I talked about in believing in yourself pushed her to be bold and ask for the promotion and the title that she deserved, and she got it. She had been thinking about doing it for a year, and she did it after listening to that episode. I was almost in tears. It made my entire week. I was so happy to get that text. So please leave a review. if you are watching this on YouTube, if you could subscribe and leave a comment. If you are on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. You can do a star rating, and then you can also write a review. It helps the show get some reach as well, and maybe get some new listeners. And so if the show's helped you, please let me know. And I will see you on the next episode. And hey, I hope you liked the first episode of Coffee with Crystal on Crystal Uncorked. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening. Are you on Instagram? I'd love to see pictures of you listening to the show, a screenshot of your favorite episode, and/or your favorite wines. Share them with me. Just follow and tag @Crystal Uncorked. I can't wait to see you there. All right, I'll see you on the next See You.